Let's do this. So I've shared my screen. We have a fairly simple agenda to review today. The whole idea of this session is to introduce all of the nonprofits in the area that are interested and available to some of the resources that will be available to you specific to the winter storm recovery efforts. So some of this might be new to you, some of it might not, and then we'll definitely reserve some time near the end for you to share with everyone else any other resources that you might have, but also we'd like to get an idea of what your supply and material needs are as an organization. So let me go ahead and kick this off. Just a quick overview of Volunteer Houston, and then we'll get into the meat of this. I think most of you know, but just in case, we are a program of interfaith ministries here, but we exist to connect individuals and groups and companies with volunteer opportunities and local nonprofits who need those volunteers and support. We are the Houston affiliate for Points of Light, which is a global service organization. And we also work closely with Harris County to operate a volunteer reception center in response to a disaster when it's activated by county officials. And it has been officially activated by county officials as of just a short while ago. So we, outside of disaster response, we exist to bring the nonprofit sector together, and we do that through various services and programs for 3 different audiences: for agencies or nonprofits, for volunteers, and for companies. But I'm not going to go into that now because we've got a lot of other things to discuss. Again, I am Brooke Parkinson, Director of Volunteer Houston. We also have Gayla Wilson, our Program Manager. She is on the line with us. Kia Gutter is our Member Services Coordinator, and you'll want to remember Kia because for any of you who will be using the Volunteer Houston portal to promote your volunteer needs in response to the disaster, or to promote your donation drives in response to the disaster, if you have any troubles, she is your go-to person for navigating the portal. And then Ayet Ashari is our newest team member. She is a full-time AmeriCorps Vista, helping us to expand our outreach in 12 surrounding counties outside of Harris County, which is our full service area. And then we have a few fabulous speakers too, who will share a little bit more information with you. And I'll introduce those folks as they come up in the agenda. So I first have just a quick list of resources that I want to briefly share with you and address. If you all have any questions along the way, please use the chat to ask those questions. Gayla is helping to monitor that chat, and we'll answer as many questions as we can throughout the session today. So first, quick resource for you. I received a message from a Chris, I don't know how to say the last name, Sanhueza, who is a bilingual social worker. Bilingual is in Spanish and English, native speaker of both. They have previous disaster translation experience, and they have offered their services to any organizations in the area who might need it. They also said that projects would be returned with a translator bio and certificate of translation, and can work with you on an NDA and confidentiality agreement if that's something that you might want or need. And so that Chris's email address is on the screen here. And yes, I will be sharing a copy of the slides from the presentation with everyone afterward in a follow-up email with all of the links to resources that we talk about as well. So there's a quick one for you. Quick list number 2, Heidi So is on the line from United Way to talk about your organization's 211 listing. So Heidi, do you need to share your screen for any reason?
No, not at all. I will just briefly go over what we can do. So hi, everyone. Hope you're staying warm. Obviously, I am. Yes, I'm here from 211 Texas. And I'm a member of the resource team. So we have a team of 6 that works to keep the resources updated at 211. Just a quick overview of the response we've had. So our call specialists in our Houston Center have taken, from Thursday the 11th until yesterday the 18th, we've taken 3,083 calls from the 13 county region of the greater Houston area alone. we actually answer calls from all over the state of Texas, so that's just from our region. A majority of those calls, of course, have been for warming centers and shelters, things like plumbing repair, but we're seeing an increase in calls for basic needs like food and drinking water. So what we're here for, our team, is to help update the listings of nonprofits, churches, other agencies providing services to the community. So if your organization is providing any services in response to this disaster or anything else, please do let us know. We really want to know what's being provided so we can share that to our many, many callers that are needing help. I'll put our email addresses in the chat and the best way to get in touch with us. And you can also contact us year round. So not just from the disaster, but if you have other services and programs that you want to make sure is listed, do let us know as well. We work 24/7. Our call specialists answer calls from all over Texas, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So any programs you have, just send them our way. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Heidi. Gayla, do we have any questions in the chat? Okay, then we will keep it moving. Next, I'd like to introduce Mary Vasquez, of Vice President of Community Outreach for the United Way of Greater Houston. I think she may have some notes on potential funding. I don't think anything is guaranteed or set in stone, but I'll stop talking and hand it over to Mary.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for inviting me today to speak a little bit about what United Way is doing and some of the activities around that are happening in terms of funding to support recovery efforts. So I'm glad I'm following Heidi to really talk to you a little bit about our 2-in-1 efforts. We have on our website now at unitedwayhouston.org. Our After the Storm resource guide is available. If you should have additional resources that you would like to add to that guide, please contact myself or Heidi or Hallie, who's Goldstein, who's also on this call, and we can make sure to populate that. If individuals are seeking resources, we encourage them to go to 211texas.org and they can search by zip code, or they can also call 211 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Our incredible team has been working nonstop to make sure that we provide the latest information and of resources that are available in the community. We are also convening our long-term recovery committees, of which Brooke is our donations management chair for Harris County Long-Term Recovery Committee. So I would be remiss if I didn't say that for any of you that are interested in engaging more with disaster recovery efforts in our community, we have long-term recovery committees in each of the 4 counties that our United Way serves. So again, you can reach out to me or to Hallie about how you can engage with one of those groups. In terms of funding to support recovery efforts, I know it's early yet in terms of conversations around that. We have heard the city and the county are doing a fund, and so there will be some funding associated with for home repairs. It sounds like primarily that are occurring through the city and county. United Way and GHCF are exploring how to support that fundraising activity, or if there's additional fundraising that needs to occur. We are fielding donations inquiries from area corporations and foundations at this time about where they can donate to help our community recover. So we are looking to try to make sure that we develop, a unified message around that. And so more to come on that. I would say we are also getting quite a few in-kind donations coming into our community that we're also fielding and trying to match. The latest one from this morning was from Amazon, donated 4 semi-trailer fulls of bottled water that will be coming into our community on Monday morning, first thing at 7 a.m. because we know that water is scarce. And so we are doing everything we can to continue to advocate with those organizations and companies that we have a relationship with to address some of the immediate needs that our community is facing right now, primarily around water and food items first, and then longer term funding needs for the recovery. So I will say it's very early yet. That's probably all that I can share at this time, but I would welcome the opportunity to come back at a later date and share a little bit more as more information becomes available.
Awesome. Thank you, Mary. All very helpful information, and it is a little early in the game to know what's happening with funding, but I appreciate you sharing at least that much. Gayla, were there any questions in the chat for Mary?
No, thanks everyone from United Way for putting your contact information in the chat box. There was one question as to whether or not the recording would be made available along with the slides, and I responded.
Yes, perfect. Okay. All right, let's move on. So I also want to, for those of you whose organizations operate a food pantry, a food bank, meal distribution in any form or fashion, if you're not already aware, Super Bowl of Caring is collaborating with Dell Technologies and the U.S. Department of Defense and a few other technology companies to manage and coordinate what they're calling the Tackle Hunger Map. So if your food pantry, food bank, again, you know, whatever, food kitchen, whatever it is that you're operating, is not already listed on the map for folks to find, you can go to map.tacklehunger.org it's very easy to add your own organization there. And that's also a way for your organization to raise money through the Tackle Hunger Map. So folks can make individual donations directly to your organization for your work in the food insecurity space. And it's all there at the Tackle Hunger Map. So again, that's just a quick one. Before I move on, are there any questions, Gayla, from the chat?
Nope.
Okay, then we'll keep moving. So I don't know if any of you have heard, but there have been quite a few scams or fraud attempts by various individuals or groups or organizations. I don't really know what they are, but if you happen across those, if any of your clients happen across those, please, again, we'll share the slides and follow-up email with you. But please take the time to report it or encourage your clients to report it. You can do that over the phone through toll-free number or online through the Texas Attorney General's office. Any questions or comments there? Okay, then we will keep going. I believe Erica Hornsey is the Executive Director of Houston Toolbank is on the line, so I will hand it over to you.
Thanks, Brooke. So the Houston Toolbank, we are open and on site. We also have our after hours pickup bins, so we're ready to get tools out to the hands of volunteers. Like every disaster, we're lending these tools for free. And of course, you think conventional tools like our dump trailer, moisture meters, dehumidifiers, but we also have coolers to help with food distribution and tables and chairs. So just we'll add some contact information in the chat box, and please reach out. We're ready to serve.
Thank you, Erica. And you guys also have COVID safety stuff as well?
Absolutely. So we've got like hand sanitizer stands and masks and hand sanitizer itself that we'll be sending out with every order just to keep people safe.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. Such a cool service. Thank you, Erica. Any questions on that from the chat box? Okay. Well, then with that, I will turn it over to Javel, or is Mark on the line, both from SBP. They will talk a little bit about navigating FEMA assistance, and this would be for your organization's for your clients.
Hey, this is Mark. Is it possible for me to share screen? Let me give it a shot.
Yes, we can make you a co-host to do that real quick.
Very quick. I am gonna drop a link in the chat here for everybody.
Hey, Mark, this is Gayla. Can I just ask a quick question for Nancy to put in the chat box? Someone had a quick question about hand sanitizers before you go for it. Nancy or Erica, can you put in the chat box how quickly individuals can receive hand sanitizer stations, considering the circumstances of the storm and everything?
Hey, Gayla, I've already answered that question in the chat.
Okay, you were quick. Ooh, okay.
All right, so we've got Mark Smith from SBP. It's all yours. Mark, are you there?
Oh, there we go. I had to find the unmute button with the screen sharing. I'm I'm not so good on Zoom, y'all. I'm much more of a Google person. But yeah, thank you so much, Brooke, for having us on. And thank you. It's so good to see everybody and see that everybody's warm, except for Heidi, who is in the Great North and is just suffering through. But you seem well equipped. So as Brooke mentioned, SPP has a host of resources for individuals, renters, small businesses to help themselves recover after a disaster. And so we have quite a few items here. They are, typically for a flood event, but there's a lot that is really applicable for this event, even with the cold weather. So SPP has a dedicated website. It's called sppprotects.org. And you can go on this website and it has all of our resources combined into one. And so there is a whole bunch here, but we would recommend everybody to click on the flood link. And when they click on the flood link, they can find all of these resources in English and Spanish. Again, these are free. Y'all can distribute them as widely as you want. We're not a brand focused organization. We want to get information out. But there are some really helpful tips here. So some of these are e-learning courses where people can go through an e-learning module on their own. We have had help from Farmers and Walmart to put these together, so they're pretty helpful. But there are also PDF guides that folks can open up and can download on their own. And so some of the ones that we are recommending to folks right now is post-disaster insurance. Folks who do have homeowners insurance and they have damage, whether it be to their piping and their plumbing or the heating system, are going to be reaching out to their insurance. And so we want to make sure that they know the best way to do that, which obviously get in touch with your insurance right away, recommendations on how to record the damage so that you can make sure that your claim is approved, and take some reasonable steps to mitigate the damage. Insurance companies don't want you to just sit there. They want you to take steps, and then how to work through the claims process, which is going to be, it's going to be time consuming, unfortunately, with the number of claims out there. So that's the first one that we're recommending for folks. The second one is if you do have significant water damage, you may need to pull down the ceiling in order to do that. And so much of the same things that would apply in a full muck and gut would apply here. You want to wear proper PPE. You want to close off the area where you're going to do some controlled demolition. You want to make sure the power and the water is cut off in those areas just so nobody gets shocked. And so those worked as well. And the big one here, what I know many of us are concerned about, is plumbers. Plumbers are going to have a real corner on the market right now. And they're going to be, charging folks hopefully reasonable prices, but there are going to be people out there who are going to act unscrupulously and are going to look to take advantage of folks who are in a tight situation. And so we have some very basic recommendations that can help people be equipped to make sure that they're working with someone who's licensed and reputable, so that their savings or their insurance money goes to the repairs that they actually need. And finally, with the cold weather, it kind of gives us a benefit here, but potentially with weather warming into next week, we could see some mold growth here if there was significant water damage. And so we have a whole host of resources here on how to mitigate mold on your home. The last step, as Brooke mentioned, we know that FEMA is responding to needs in Texas. I'm not sure yet if there will be an individual assistance program that will open to this event. I hope there is, because while we don't have, a significant number of homes that are completely uninhabitable, we have a large number of homes that have significant damage. And so hopefully that will open up FEMA individual assistance for folks. And once that does occur, we have e-learning, we have videos, and we do have we have a navigating the FEMA process. As soon as I find the PDF here, for folks to use to be able to go through the FEMA process.
I think I saw it at the bottom.
Was it at the bottom? Sometimes the videos. So we've got the advocate for yourself. We've got the post insurance guide, homeowners guide.
Maybe.
It may even be right
It may
here.
be on the previous, yeah, Mark, I was
Yeah.
going to suggest. Yeah.
It's on the landing page here.
Mhm.
And so, and this is also a compilation of the insurance, the FEMA, and the SBA. We know that process is so complicated. So we have that. And in the circumstances that an individual disaster declaration does occur, SBP will spin up train the trainers trainings. So we can train nonprofit organizations and their staff and volunteers on how to walk families through the FEMA individual assistance process so that you can help them work through this. And we do quite a bit in terms of helping train the trainers for the appeals process, which we know will come as a part of this and will be part of the next couple of months here. If there is individual assistance, folks, we typically see 2/3 of applications are denied, usually for clerical or technical errors that can be pretty quickly resolved through an appeal. So we're currently assisting with that in Southwest Louisiana from Laura Response, and we would do that here as well. So if that occurs, we'll share information through Volunteer Houston and through the Long-Term Recovery Committee so that your organizations, if you would like to chip in there, we can train you. It's a very quick, succinct training, and we're willing to offer technical support as well. So I am going to, I'm not really sure how I stop sharing. The pause share? Stop share. There we go.
There you go. Thank you, Mark. Does anyone have any questions for Mark?
There's nothing in the chat room. Let me double check. I have a question, Mark, and you may or may not have an opinion on this, but you mentioned about the concerns about plumbing contractors and fraudulent, or, just not being credible. Are there any thoughts around a recent update I saw from the governor's office that they're going to maybe allow temporary licenses for Texas for plumbers from out of state? Are there concerns you think in terms of potential fraudulent activity or, not being credible because they're coming in from out of state and there's no regulations?
So they still have to go through a process. I think it's with the Department of Labor here in Texas to have their licenses and certifications for another state qualify. And so they should have paperwork and approval that shows that while their license may be in Louisiana or Oklahoma, that they can work here in the state of Texas. And so what we would recommend to folks, if someone says, I'm from out of state, you should still have a license for whatever state you're coming from. And I'd like to see that information. And then we can certainly put out some guidance on what the state's process is going to be for verifying those licenses. That any type of external contractor is still going to have to work through the state. We always recommend that people reach out to their local building department if they're not sure as well, and to see what the local building department recommends. But at the bare minimum, whether they're licensed in the state of Texas or licensed in another state, they should still have proof of license, and they should still have proof of insurance, which is you're going to want to see. And that's an easy way to see that someone has reputable business if they have insurance and general liability, which would include their business name and should include their license number that you can check as well.
Thank you. The only other question we had was probably more toward Mary. Someone asked about getting water to about 81 seniors.
Certainly. So definitely let us know about that, and we can work with the Houston Food Bank. The Houston Food Bank, and I don't know if there's someone from the Houston Food Bank on the line, so I don't want to speak on their behalf, but I have been in daily conversations with the team at the food bank. They do have capacity to provide food and water deliveries, I believe, to the senior population, especially those that are homebound. So definitely that is something that individuals can contact the Houston Food Bank call center, and there's a phone number for that. I'll find it in a second and I'll post it on the chat. And other than that, if you're having difficulties, please reach out to me and I will make sure and make that connection as well.
Thanks, Mary. And then one other question, students at TSU and U of H who are in need as well, how do we get a large quantity to the schools? And I'm assuming that's water, correct, Humi?
Yeah, I'm assuming that's water, yes.
Yeah.
There is a huge demand for water right now, and I feel you. Houston Food Bank, when I spoke to them yesterday, was completely out of water, and that is why we are advocating for water donations to come into our community. There's several water distribution events that are occurring today. If you go to either our After the Storm guide on the UnitedWayHouston.org site or on Click to Houston or KHOU or Cron, they have a listing of all of the water distribution events that are occurring, because several of the city and the county, they're all trying to get water into the city. But we know that the needs are higher than the demand is higher than the amount that we have available right now. So definitely I would check in with, check in on those sites. I know that the Houston Food Bank is doing the delivery to the food pantries as they get it, as well as into those sites, as well as to our senior population that is homebound. So I hope that that helps.
That's the only question we have so far.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Mary, and thank you, Mark. And thank you, Gayla, for getting us all answered up here. Okay, I am going to share my screen and we will keep going. I know we're kind of moving through some of these resources fairly quick, and so I apologize for that. We have a fairly short turnaround time here, and I definitely wanted to save time at the end to hear from you all what your needs are. And again, if you have any other resources to share as well. I, at this time, want to go over the Volunteer Houston portal. So we do, again, work with Harris County, and we're working with VOAD right now as well to operate a volunteer reception center. In this case, it's a virtual volunteer reception center. And I think the easiest way to explain that is, one, it's really meant for, I don't want to shoot myself in the foot here, for spontaneous volunteers. But the reality is that your organizations can use the portal to recruit volunteers, of course, year round. The key difference here is that when you're posting a volunteer need related to the disaster in the Volunteer Houston portal, or if you're posting a donation drive of your own that you're coordinating and staffing on your own, the key is that you'll want to select the Winter Storm Initiative when you're prompted in the portal. And you'll see the option there as you're filling out all of the information about your volunteer opportunity. But by selecting that Winter Storm Initiative, it will populate your posts in a single list that is easy to find and easy to navigate for anyone who is browsing and looking for ways to help in immediate response to a disaster. I think we all know that it's very common for volunteers to kind of come out of the woodwork, and they want to help. They want to help their neighbors. They don't know where to start. Local media will be sharing volunteerhu.org/VRC with the general public for those who are looking for a place to go. So if you want to take advantage of the local media promoting this easy to find list, just be sure that in the portal you're selecting that Winter Storm Initiative in the drop down. And so just a quick, I just have 2 screenshots for you for those who may not be familiar with the Volunteer Houston portal. When you log in to your account, you'll select your agency name from the top menu up here. And once you access your agency, this toolbar in the middle of the screen is essentially your agency manager toolbar. So adding a new opportunity is as easy as clicking the needs tab here in that toolbar, and then you'll fill out all of the questions that it asks you to fill out. And so this is a screenshot of some of those questions, and this is the initiative piece that we're talking about. When it asks for the initiative, if it is related to the winter storm recovery, you want to make sure to select winter storms so that your opportunity is populated in that single master list of volunteer opportunities and donation drives. Also, I should say Kia Gutter, our team member, is of course on the line here. She again is your contact for working in the Volunteer Houston portal if you guys have any questions along the way. With that, are there any questions before we move on? Okay. Well, then good. At this point, then I spoke with Erica Banks from the Houston Food Bank last night. She is actually, as a member of VOAD, coordinating the donations, and she was looking for a tool and a way to kind of coordinate the matching of folks and organizations who say we need this, along with the folks who are saying, well, I have this. So what she is really interested. I don't think that she's on the call right now. Erica, if you are, please say hello. But she was very interested in knowing and asked that we ask all of you during this call what your organization's in-kind needs are. So feel free to unmute yourself and share some thoughts, or drop it in the chat and I'll just stop talking and see if anyone has anything to share.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for hosting this. This was really, really great. My name is Humi Jackson. I am the Director of Operations at Mangrove Community. And right now we work with a lot of underserved communities. And so the storm was really even more of a setback because they're already underserved. We work in areas with like 3rd Ward and 5th Ward and Acres Home and whatnot. And a lot of students populate those areas as well. So I know, of course, there's a lot of help going to elderly and people with infants and whatnot, but then these millennials too, they're really, really struggling. They're already struggling because they're in college, so they are backed up on food and then the water, and then missing work for a week. So they're kind of scattered all over the place. So of course, like those essential initial resources they're missing with like the food and the water. So that's more imperative right now.
Thank you. Tell me again the organization you're from.
Mangrove Community.
Mangrove Community.
Correct.
I'm just taking notes because I'm going to share this with Erica afterward.
Okay, great. And I put my contact information in there. Do you need that as well in a separate?
I'll pull it from the chat log, but thank you.
Okay, of course. Thank you.
Hey, Brooke, Mary Gunter needs to ask a question.
Okay.
Mary or Kathy?
I'm sorry, Kathy. I'm sorry, Kathy.
Oh, okay. Yes, I wanted to know. I'm a civic association president, and we are a nonprofit organization. I don't know if we have to be registered, and I normally miss out, like the water distribution. I miss out on getting the services to my community because I don't know if I have to be registered with you guys or each one of the organizations that you mentioned earlier. So just want to, verify that. I work with the Houston Gardens, Trinity and Houston Gardens area.
Are you talking specifically about maybe water distribution?
Yeah, just water. Also, we had water distribution as well as volunteers. We were offered an opportunity to receive some bread. We had to distribute it. I don't know. I didn't have the volunteers to distribute. So I will call them, but I don't know. Do we have to be pre-registered in order to qualify for many of these programs with the 211 or whatever?
Yeah, so I think the answer to each organization is a little bit different. I will say if you are looking to recruit volunteers,
yes, that and
all year round, you would need to create.
Not all year round,
go ahead.
for the water. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, at any point, sure. You can and you should create an agency account on the Volunteer Houston portal. There's no cost to do that. And again, Kia can help you out with that. As far as water distribution goes, I might refer to Mary again. Unfortunately, I just don't think there is a centralized list of water distribution locations. Is that right?
Actually, Brooke, I think that there was something put in the chat box along with the United Way, but then also KPRC, I believe, did put some information on water distribution, and the website is listed in the chat room. It's basically clicktohouston.com, and they have a list of water distribution sites in the Houston area for today.
Right. And so I think many of the different media channels are doing their best to populate those lists, but it's not necessarily a complete list. And you might find one location on one list that's not on another list. So as far as water distribution goes, I think it's just going to come down to, you know, browsing the local media, TV, radio, news stations to see what you can find there.
And then register with each one of those organizations. Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't think that to receive water, I think they are all going to have their own requirements, but I highly doubt that you're going to have to register with them to receive the water. I think that it's, in most cases, it's a drive through, drive up, and take whatever it is they're able to give you.
Hey, Brooke, maybe remind them again about how they can list their request for in-kind through the portal as a registered agency.
Oh, thank you. Yes, good. So if your organization has a need, you have a population of people who are in need of water, is certainly the biggest one right now. Again, you can create an agency account in the Volunteer Houston portal, and what you would do is add a need and describe list the items that you're looking to be donated, and make sure that you include a date and time and address for folks to drop those donations off. So you're going to have to, you know, work to staff your own donation accepting center. But that is absolutely something that you can post in the Volunteer Houston portal. And again, make sure you tag it with that Winter Storm Initiative so that it's publicized in that master list of opportunities for the general public to access. Any other questions?
We have one more for the, in regards to the translation service offered by Chris, is that specifically for nonprofits, or can individuals reach out who might be needing assistance with translation services as they make application for services?
Good question. When the offer came in, it was to organizations, but I am of the school of thought that it never hurts to ask. So you're more than welcome to, you know, reach out to Chris and find out if that's something they're willing to do for an individual.
And then Mark did add one update regarding the Texas Board of Plumbing Examiners, giving provisional licenses to increase the response time for those in need. And then also the governor's issuing a waiver that allows plumbers currently holding an expired license to assist with Texans in need through waiving of certain fees and examination requirements.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other of your, I know we're running up on time, so I'll open it up for discussion. If anyone else would like to share what kind of in-kind donations your organization might need right now, please do. Again, drop it in the chat. I can pull it from the chat later, or you're welcome to unmute and share. Or if any of you have other resources that you want to share with each other, please feel free to do that as well.
Hi, everyone. This is Tracy with Family Houston. And I would say right now, I mean, right in the immediate aftermath, what I've heard the most, I'll echo what was already said about the food. So many of the clients that we serve, they don't have necessarily the funds to replenish food that was already lost. The amount of food that they purchased for this month is what they had. And so I know food to replace what was lost due to power outages. And then also any kind of, you know, gift cards, anything for home repairs. Some of them are a little bit more on the minor side and they feel like they can do them at home, but they just don't have the funds to be able to secure those supplies.
Good. I know that there is an effort right now between VOAD and the LTRC to at least put together some sort of, like you mentioned, Tracy, the DIY fix-it plumbing supplies that we can share with homeowners or possibly even renters. I don't know what the rules are. So that we can put in one kind of coordinated request to companies like Home Depot or Lowe's and so on. So I would just encourage all of you to keep your ear to the ground. Volunteer Houston will certainly share this information once it's confirmed and ready to share with you all. So that's more soon on that one. Tracy, did I get the name of your organization correct? Did you say Family Houston?
Yes, Family Houston.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? Looks like Whitney raised her hand.
Let's see. Yes, Whitney raised her hand.
Yeah, so SNAP beneficiaries can be reimbursed for food they lost during the outage. So if they go on the website of hhs.texas.gov, they can fill out an application to get their food replaced during the storm.
Excellent. Thank you for that.
Sure.
There is one question. Is there a process that families can go through to ask for replacement SNAP benefits?
It's on that website.
Okay.
It's on the website. So there's documentation they have to fill out.
Okay.
And then they just have to state that they lost what they lost and the benefits they lost. So the food they lost. So on the website, hhs.texas.gov, they have instructions on how to do that.
Thank you, Whitney. Anything else?
We don't have anything else in the chat room at this time.
Okay, well, I appreciate everyone who joined to listen in, but also to help present some of the resources that are out there. Roy, I think we'll get you an answer. He's asking what was the food replacement website, hhs.texas.gov. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you guys for sharing the information that you do have. We are still pretty early on in the recovery process, so there will be a lot more information coming from Volunteer Houston will help to share the information, but also make sure that you're keeping an eye on VOAD and Harris County Long-Term Recovery Committee information. It will be all over the place. So if at any point there's anything Volunteer Houston can do to help any of you and your organizations meet the needs of your clients or recover yourselves, please just let us know and we'll do what we can. And thank you all. Stay safe, stay warm, stay hydrated, and have a fabulous weekend. Talk to you later.
Thanks
Bye.
all.
Bye, thank you.